The 47-minute first episode of Steel Ball Run has finally been released, and oh boy, let me tell you, it's surpassed all of my expectations. And apparently that's not only me, since this thing is now #1 on Mal, which I kind of expected, to be honest. To start off this video, I just really want to gush about this beautiful Eyecatch, which I can't help but feel that it was inspired by this cover, easily one of my all-time favorites, which I also used to model the gradient for the background of this video. Them casting Jotaro's VA for Sandman is absolute gold. He is cocky yet internally angry, a perfect fit for Sandman. And I'm glad he was the first character we got to see just like in the manga, regardless if they moved around his backstory. I'm sure we'll get to see it as a flashback in the future episode. This guy's a fan favorite, and I'm sure David Pro knows this. And the soundtrack, oh my god, it's absolutely amazing, especially this bit. It's like ecstasy, and the way they use the theme all throughout the episode is excellent. Yes, Yugo Kanno, you cocky bastard, you deserve the Emmy for best sound, hands down, bro. The beginning of this episode feels different compared to other parts. It generally has a Seinen Feel to it. Gave me Villain Saga vibes for a split second. The shot with the race logo panning to the city was very impressive and sets the mood for JoJo's part that's going to be a lot more cinematic. Now, the first Gyro scene had me a little worried that his VA might have not been the best cast, but more on that one later. Even though his backstory is somewhat altered, getting to know about Johnny's brother's death earlier felt right, hinting that he has a hole in his heart left by his brother, which will be somewhat filled by an older brother mentor archetype like Gyro. We only found out about him in chapter 42 in the original, which feels a little bit too late. Sadly, they didn't add the dreaded horny panel while he was talking about his success as a genius jockey. Now, the first glimpse of CGI Valkyrie isn't as jarring as I expected it to be. Honestly, it looks pretty good. These shots of Slow Dancer and Johnny are though, but they're so short that I don't mind it, to be honest. I feel the more we get to see the CGI models, the more we'll get used to them. You guys know the drill. If you like the video, a like and a sub is always highly appreciated. I know I complained about Gyro's VA a bit earlier, but in the second half of the race, he kinda owns it. His second is way better, and it honestly made me giddy from excitement. I'm starting to trust this guy. I do acknowledge that I'm used to the game's VAs, which might not have been a perfect cast as well. Maybe there is no such thing as a perfect cast for a man so perfect as Gyro Zeppeli, but I don't feel the same thing about Johnny's VA, so maybe Gyro's needs a few more episodes for me to see how I truly feel about him. So far, I find him promising to say the least. Just before the race starts, we get to see Diego do a little smirk laugh, which I loved. They are taking every chance they can to characterize our cast. I love the funny way they played off that Steel is, at the end of the day, just another dude that is genuinely scared about being offed by the investors. And that guy was actually a Freudian slip played off as a joke more than anything. In the original, we get this meltdown before the conference. I feel this is a nice change and a funny way to characterize Steven. And Lucy's VA sounds really good as well. She sounds very compassionate, fitting for her character. Dear heavens of CGI shots. Gyro's model and shading looks impeccable here. This is starting to feel like David Pro is setting a new standard for CGI in anime. The way they did the scene of Johnny getting back on the horse felt so ominous. I loved that. Which goes to show how much of this is left to our interpretation. The tone they give to certain scenes and panels is completely different to what I had in my head when reading it for the first time. This one is a bit glaring. The little bit where Johnny says, "Oh, I can do this if I'm with you," to Slow Dancer. I love how they value the bond he has with his horse as well, which I feel is a bit of an overlooked thing in the fandom. Ultimately, he loves horses, and it's shown perfectly here. I wonder if they're going to add some backstory to Gyro and how he learned to be so good at horse racing. It was never explained in the manga. To be fair, it can just be that he's just naturally really talented at it, but it doesn't explain how he knew about the older horses being the wiser ones over their stamina. This Sakuga shot made my mind explode, coupled with the music. Oh my god. And quite frankly, I didn't expect so many Sakuga shots in this. Like, there were some Sakuga shots of the steel balls in Hamon, which blew my mind, and they kept popping out of nowhere. This is giving a Mappa feels of quality, honestly. Even the background frames that are infamous for being bad in JoJo's are pretty decent here. The care and effort is visible everywhere so far. I also love that when Diego is moving up in the race, the theme being played uses the leitmotif from his themes, Dio's World and Dark Rebirth from Stardust Crusader soundtrack. Getting to see Avdol's SBR counterpart and discover they gave him his OG voice actor the chance to play him again was such a nice surprise, especially when he's a already here voicing Steven Steele. Plus, they did use his original theme as well, which was a nice touch. I think this one was identical to the Part 3 one with no changes. I might be wrong. Man, Araki sure does love bringing back this guy just to take him away from us just moments later. Okay, so one of the announcers sounded eerily similar to Speedwagon, but sadly he's not. I don't remember the car gag being this funny or fleshed out in the original. It's so hard to get used to the new VA for Diego, especially when they're using this new rendition of Dio's theme. Koyasu, I miss you, bro. But the new guy's doing pretty well so far. He's got the cocky sociopath jockey down to a T, so I don't want to discredit him. Having the world time stop sound effect play when he zips fast gyro was absolute cinema, which makes me want to bring up the sound design overall in this episode. The steel balls and every time you get to hear the hum sound effects is just incredible. I never considered this even as a concept when reading the manga. Honestly, David Production might be the best there is to anime sound design. And the gold streaks they have returning to Gyro is such a great premonition to what's to come. Speaking of premonition, Gyro glowing at the end, True Man's World, anybody? I was really hoping they were going to use detailed still frames, just like Berserk 997 did, to emphasize some moments and panel shots, and I'm really happy with how some of these have turned out. Not sure if anybody else noticed this, and I know this is like major nitpick territory, but there was a really weird and somewhat bad cut right about here. The OST transition and scene felt like there was an ad break missing from a torrent cut. And yes, I did watch this on Netflix. Enya being confirmed as the fortune teller while flashing the tarot card. Such nice Stardust Crusaders fan service. Just seeing the tarot makes me so nostalgic. Pocoloco saying hey yeah literally made me do one of those. He said the thing like the proper goober that I am. When Gyro has his first throwing the ball in the forest, I was sold. I trust this guy now. This shot was one of the few that stand out as CGI. I remember once reading that good CGI in traditional animation should not be noticeable, and honestly, so many of these just blend in seamlessly in the shots. Smug Poco panel was done so well in the anime. How perfect even. It's 1-to-1. I love it. And since we're on the topic of Pocoloco, I really like that they didn't show Heya yet and just had him talk to Poco. I think this will make for a way better reveal later. The crowd chanting Steel Ball Run near the end was just enchantingly full of hype. The crowd is literally us. Just want to take a pause here and say that Johnny's VA has blown it out of the park. Your man's doing some insane work. The way he yells and expresses Johnny's stubborn frustration is incredible. This guy had big shoes to fill since so many of us were hoping for Yuki Kaji, but honestly, so far, I have zero worries about him doing Johnny justice in this adaptation. He gets gold stars from me so far. Seeing the swap to the Shueisha colors was incredible, but seeing Gyro with his Shueisha palette just makes me sad we didn't get him like this in every shot. I really dislike the orange color they give his pellets on his suit. It just looks bad compared to green, I think. I know I mentioned this earlier, but the way the main theme is used in the climax of the race is so good, always fitting every beat of the pacing and tone. There's this bit near the end where all the sound effects are phased out and the music slowly does as well, and it's just the horses. The silence is deafening, and then you just hear the announcer scream, "Naranda! Naranda! Naranda! Yonkiga Naranda!" The stakes are palpable. Something similar was done when Gyro crosses the finish line. Deafening silence before absolute hell breaks loose from the crowd from the climax of this race. And the outro bit where Johnny narrates this about how he took his first steps metaphorically and how this is a coming of age story for him. Just, oh, it had me in tears. I'm kind of getting kind of fucked up thinking about it, honestly. And last but not least, their little interaction at the end about sailing. Just getting a small glimpse of the start of the best romance to ever grace this medium. I can't wait to see all their dumb little wholesome interactions animated, and this felt like the start of all of them. I can't remember when was last time I was so happy and excited about anything, honestly. If you want to go the extra mile and really want to support your guy in the best way you can, comments. Comments help the video get further in the algorithm. That way, all the hard work and editing can be rewarded. So, what did you guys think of the episode? And what did you think of the changes? Personally, I was okay with most, with the exclusion of some. I think the first episode cut off all of the fat and made the pacing something close to perfection for me. Some of the best I've ever seen in the first episode of any series ever. Hopefully we get to see the next episode sooner than later. Maybe on the 28th we'll get more news on Anime Stage Japan, but who knows. Catch you guys in the next one.